Hello everyone and welcome to the final day of the Superbet Rapid and Blitz tournament. This is the second day of the Rapids. After 3 days of Blitz, Korobov was leading the tournament, and then after the first day of Blitz, Korobov was again leading the tournament, and now we are at the final day. Again, the Blitz section, and now he faces Viswanathan Anand. In the Rapid section, Korobov was able to beat Anand in a very nice attacking game. So here it's going to be very interesting to see what happens and if Korobov can maintain his lead. So basically, without further ado, I do hope you enjoyed this game as it features, well, the title basically says it all. So let's check it out. And the two of them will be repeating a game they've already played in 2018 in St. Petersburg in the World Blitz Championship. So let's see who prepared what. E4 by Anand. We have C5 by Korobov, the Sicilian defense, Knight F3, D6, and D4. Captures. We have Knight to F6, Knight to C3, and of course the Najdorf variation is on the board. Bishop to E3. We have E5 pushing the knight back. Knight to B3 is the most common move, but Anand prefers knight to F3. We have queen to C7, and now A4 taking away the B5 square from black. So B5 is not an option at the moment. We have H6 by Korobov, and now bishop to E2. Anand is now ready to castle. We have bishop to E6 and castles by Anand. We have bishop to E7. Korobov also prepares to castle, and now A5, grabbing more space on the queen side. With bishop to B6 in mind, if it's going to be useful at some point. So knight b to d7, guarding the b6 square for now, also developing the knight, and knight to d5 now. We have knight captures, the queen on c7 is under attack, so you have to react to this. Knight captures, we have pawn captures, and bishop to f5. Here Korobov is attacking the c2 pawn, so Anand advances it to c4, where it's nicely protected. We have castles by Korobov, and now b4 by Anand. And two of them already reached this exact same position last year in the World Blitz Championship in St. Petersburg. And bishop to h7 is the move that Korobov plays now. But in that game, rook a to c8 was played in the World Blitz Championship, and that game ended in a draw. So bishop to h7, Korobov deviates from the line the two of them played, now prepares f5. It's not a new move, it's been played before, but here it's Anand who plays a new move. Now here rook a to c1 is a known move, knight to d2 is a known move, knight to e1 is a known move, but here we have queen to b3. So it is as of move 16 that we have a completely new game on our hands. So let's see what happens. With f5, Korobov continues to advance on the king side, maybe with ideas of pushing f4, maybe even e4. We have c5 by Anand, and now king to h8, as you don't want your king on the same diagonal as the queen. So king to h8, and now rook a to c1. D captures on c5, we have B captures on c5, and now the c5 pawn is guarded twice, and it's attacked 3 times. So can Korobov capture the pawn? Well, the short answer is no, but Korobov nevertheless captures it. He plays knight captures on c5. And now, for some reason, Anand dislikes a rook captures on c5. Rook captures on c5 just grabs 2 pieces for a rook after bishop captures and rook a to c1. There's no good way to guard the bishop here. It's not possible. You could try something like b6 and claim that you are actually defending it, but after a captures and queen captures, the bishop is still under attack twice. So just queen captures on b6, and bishop will pick up bishop. So you're gonna end up the variation having a bishop and a knight for sorry, something is wrong with the colors. The bishop and a knight for a rook with a winning position. So Anand, for some reason, doesn't like this. He goes for a more, more quiet idea. Maybe it's because it's a blitz game. So he goes queen to c3. Now adds a third attacker to the knight, while also attacking the e5 pawn twice with the queen and the knight. So rook a to c8, Korobov defends the knight, and now knight captures on e5, grabbing that e5 pawn. Now this is a very dangerous pass pawn. If you can start pushing it, probably why Anand decided to go for this. Maybe he didn't want to overcalculate it. It is a blitz game after all. So queen to d8, going after the d5 pawn, and now rook f to d1, defending the d5 pawn with f4, further advancing the pawn, but now bishop to d4. Now the bishop-queen battery after the knight moves will have some threats against the g7 pawn. Bishop to f5 by Korobov, making a room for the king on h7, and now comes knight back to c4, opening up an attack on the g7 pawn. Bishop to f6, defending, and now bishop captures on f6. And here, Korobov doesn't like queen captures on f6. A problem with queen captures on f6 is that after queen captures, you have to mess up your pawn structure, and you're just going to have a bad endgame. Because if you go rook captures, if you don't want to mess up your pawn structure, then you get knight to b6, and now this rook will just be overloaded. The pawn will start advancing. There's not all that much you can do here. For example, if you move the rook c7, just d6. If you move it rook c6, then you get bishop to f3, attacking the rook. The rook has nowhere to go. Let's say bishop here. You don't trade like this, you trade with rook captures on c5, and now it's just a completely winning position for white. You could go bishop captures on f3, but now d7, preparing d8 to queen, and after rook f8 you can just queen, and that's sufficient for a win. You have a well, after you trade down, you have a Jan Gustafsson type of endgame where one player is up a whole rook. So after bishop captures on f6, Korobov tries to keep everything together. He plays rook captures on f6. He doesn't want to trade queens, but still knight to b6, as it is an excellent outpost for the knight. Threatens the rook here. So rook to c7, and now queen to b4. Now threatening rook captures knight. So knight to e4, saving the knight, also offering a trade of rooks on c7, and now bishop to f3 by Anand. With a double attack on the knight here. So knight back to d6 by Korobov, and now rook back to e1. Here Korobov takes his chance and well, trades a pair of rooks here with rook captures, and bishop back to g6 now. And here Anand sees that, okay, now this diagonal is available for my bishop, so I'm going to play bishop g4. Also, you have to be very careful. A lot of pieces are guarding that c8 square. For example, if the knight moves, rook c8 is just deadly. So here, best for Korobov is just bishop to f5, but it's always hard. It doesn't matter how strong you are, it's always hard to admit that your previous move was a poor choice. Because here you just have to trade down into this game where you will be down a pawn. Bishop captures, queen captures, white is up a pawn, and it's a very strong passed d pawn. So instead, Korobov just plays king to h7. He gets the king away from the last rank, and then now comes knight to d7 by Anand, threatening the rook on f6, and Korobov goes knight to e4. He says, okay, I'm gonna give up the exchange, and maybe I can create some chances. You know, as I always, Korobov is always able to wiggle out from any position. So maybe this is one such position, but Anand says nope. This is not one such position. So feel free to pause the video and try to figure out why this is not one such position, and well, how do you win this game for white? The easiest possible way and the quickest one. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on paying attention to the title of the video. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's rook to c8. And that's it. The queen is trapped. The queen has no squares. You cannot capture the knight. The bishop obviously guards the knight. You cannot go to e7 as the queen covers the e7 square. And lastly, but of course not leastly, queen captures on c8, loses to knight captures on f6 with check now, and this opens up a discovery to the queen. So here you would just have to capture it, and then after this captures, you are down a queen. You do grab the d5 pawn, but it's not even a consolation prize. It's completely winning for white. So after rook to c8, Korobov realizes that his queen is just trapped, and that's it. Anand wins the game. Excellent game by Anand, excellent retaliation. Even though he didn't go for that rook c5 idea, he went for a more positional approach, but in the end everything worked out. I'm not going to mention the standings, but I will mention that the Blitz section has not been kind to Anton Korobov, who went into the final day leading the tournament. But as we're going to show more games from the final day, we're going to check out the standings then. That's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Andrew Wilson and the Whitbeck Holdings LLC for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the FIDE Grand Prix, of the Superbet Rapid and Blitz tournament alongside with the FIDE Grand Prix. We've been neglecting that one for a few days, but we will get back to it. No worries. Thank you all, and have an excellent rest of your day.